Hi friends, it's so good to be with you today. I wish we could actually be together, but it's really fun that we can still have class in this way. We have a really fun project to do. It just starts with making our own plants from non-plant materials and collected things, and then we'll draw them just like we have been doing in class for the last couple weeks. So here are the things that you're gonna need. So for the first part of this project, you're gonna need a couple things just to make the plant. The first thing you'll need is a stick, so go ahead and take some time and go outside and find a couple. They can be all shapes and sizes. And then the next thing you'll need is some paper. This is just a piece of an old magazine that I had laying around, but this can be anything from newspaper to a paper bag, to some sheet music, to printer paper, anything you can find. You'll also need some scissors just to cut up the paper, and then something to adhere the paper to the stick. I have some tape, but you could use glue if you have that as well. Next, you'll need some drawing materials, because after you make that, you're going to draw it. I chose to use some watercolors today, which we've used in class before, and can be a fun thing to add to your drawings. And then I also just have a pen, a pencil, and then some crayons. This material can be anything you have. If you have a highlighter, go ahead and grab that. If you have paints, go ahead and grab those. Anything to add some color into these drawings. I promised you guys that I would read something at the beginning of every class, so today I found a pretty fun short story to read. I'm only going to read part of it because it's pretty long, but the link for the story is in the video description below, so you can go find it yourself as well. Just so I can explain the story a little bit so you don't just get thrown right into a section of it. I found this, and it is based off of a website that this man made 15 years ago called Watching Grass Grow, where he has a live video of his grass growing in his lawn in Colorado 24/7 that people can come and visit. I thought it was really funny, and you guys should also go and check out this website if you're bored during this time of quarantine. So here is the section of the story that I found for you. I scanned the dozens of screen grabber highlights from over the years, mundane shots of him fertilizing the grass, elaborate Christmas and Halloween displays, sun-soaked car washes. The years flitted by. Grass crinkles, reemerges, and his neighbors get a new mailbox. In one from Father's Day 2004, Mr. Grass is trimming the lawn with his two early elementary school age sons pushing toy mowers behind him. After the webcam, it's the first image any viewer sees. It's sweet. I pulled the tab into its own window and left it running while I went back to work trying to write pithy emails, but I couldn't stop looking at the feed. It updated every 2 seconds or so. Sometimes whole minutes would pass where nothing would happen. I'd refresh the page, assuming it was stuck. Again, nothing. It was like a real-time magic eye poster, only where you stare at it for 10 minutes before you realize it's not, in fact, even a magic eye poster. At the end of the day, I went home, but something stopped me from closing out the window. The next day, I reloaded the screen. Same thing the third day. Eventually, I just kept it open all the time. I'd pull it up when I wanted to zone out for a few minutes and watch the shamrock green lawn. I started evangelizing to friends and family. No one found it nearly as interesting. So I'd sit at work with 33 or 27 or 52 strangers, and we'd watch in silence as the mail was delivered or a bird landed on a signpost, or the residual morning dew evaporated as the sun rose and filled the driveway. A few months earlier, I learned that my wife was pregnant with our first child. We dubbed the mystery baby TBD, and I immediately set out upon an investigation into how much takeout I'd need to stop eating to afford daycare. The answer, all of it, plus I would probably need to stop buying groceries. We'll live off the land, I thought. We play wanted children. Chronologically, I was ready. Emotionally, I was swallowing anxiety in gulps. Sometimes I'd sit at my desk, mute the Rocky theme, and stare at Mr. Grass's lawn, unsure if I wanted something to happen or not. But by nature, I'm not an anxious person, but this sometimes felt like self-medication. I'd glance down at the Father's Day photo, all three of them suspended in a perfect line, 3 pairs of Velcro shoes sinking into the high grass. I wonder who they were and what they were doing by now. 12 years later, they seem happy, I'd think to myself. I'd put my computer to sleep and head for home. The reason I wanted to read this story for you guys is because I thought the website that it pertains to is just hilarious. So I think you guys should check it out. But also because I think that his experience with watching grass grow is something that pertains to what we've been learning in class about seeing what you're drawing and looking and observing it to draw it more accurately. So the first thing you're going to do to make the plant is just cut out some leaf form. So you just take your paper that you found and you fold it in half, and then you just go ahead and cut so that the leaf is gonna have both sides of it with the paper, the color that you want it, and then also it makes it easier to attach it to the stick. So these can be any shape you want, and then you're just gonna fold them over the stick and then go ahead and get some tape or some glue, and you are going to go ahead and tape them on just like this. Okay, it's time to get drawing. Go ahead and put your plant that you made down. This is the finished one that I made to draw from, and then just go ahead and grab your drawing materials. The thing that I want you guys to be most aware of is that you're using two different techniques for this composition. I used watercolor and a pen and did some line contour and then just color blocks, but you can use crayon or colored pencil or any other thing you have around the house to use. And it should be pretty easy to do these two distinct techniques because of how the materials came together in your plant that you made. So you guys got the gist for the drawing that you should be completing for this class. But this project can go a lot of different ways if you want to keep expanding off of it. This was made by one of our friends, Erin Drews, and she based this little collage off of Henri Matisse, who did a lot of cut-out collages that were based on repetitive botanical patterns. So this is another fun thing that you can do with this project if you want to keep going. If you just keep the scraps from the plants that you cut out, then you can go ahead and collage those as well if you have more time on your hands through all of this. And then we want you to keep all the components so we can see them at the end of the class and hopefully at the student show as well. So you got a plant that you ended with, a drawing that you ended with, and then if you want to keep going, go ahead and make a collage as well. Next week, we're going to make some compositions based on plant debris and then also new springtime growth, like this one here. I collected some fern scraps and some hydrangea scraps as well as a daffodil. So go ahead and collect some things if you think about it and you're on some quarantine walks, as well as finding some flowers and pressing those. Otherwise, we can do that together. It was so fun creating with you guys. I'll see you next week.